Talk about health care and also the Russia investigation with Virginia Democrat Senator Mark Warner, who joins us from Capitol Hill tonight. He's the vice chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee. Senator, thanks for being here tonight. I want to get your reaction to President Trump in Paris. When he said this, he was asked about his son's meeting with that Russian lawyer.
He took a meeting with a lawyer from Russia. It lasted for a very short period, and nothing came of the meeting. And I think it's a meeting that most people in politics probably would have taken.
Your thoughts on that?
I think that the president, frankly, I can't believe what he's saying. I mean, here was in black and white an email that said, hey, meet with this Russian lawyer acting as an agent of the Russian government, and this is part of the Russian government's effort to help then-candidate Trump and to discredit Clinton. I don't know anybody, Democrat or Republican, that would take that kind of meeting with not only a foreign government, but a foreign adversary, and frankly, a government that we've learned was trying to hack into our whole electoral process, and frankly, fairly successfully was able to interfere.
With that meeting, what is the underlying crime you think there is there?
Well, I'm not saying there was an underlying crime. That's what our bipartisan investigation in the Senate Intelligence Committee is looking into. But the idea that Trump officials, which since the election have said, hey, we've not been meeting with Russians until there's been evidence that they have been meeting, and you've had the firing of the NSA Director General Flynn, you've had the recusal of the Attorney General, you have now Mr. Kushner have to amend 3 times his filings, or at least 3 separate meetings that were not disclosed. What happened here was there was an effort in the email that said this is part of the Russian government effort to help, right. It said Mr. Trump. That, in my mind, is totally inappropriate, and you just don't meet with foreign governments, and particularly governments that are adversarial to our country in this kind of affair. Now,
Senator, what about besides the email here that obviously you allude to, that you say, and it's clear, that talks about at least attempted collusion, are there other instances where you have seen evidence of collusion beyond this one meeting?
Well, Brett, what we have not done so far in this investigation, because we've spent a lot of time, frankly, on the firing of Jim Comey and getting him in to testify, getting the Attorney General in to testify, we are just now starting to talk to those individuals that were affiliated with the Trump campaign that at least have been mentioned in the press, like Paul Manafort, like Carter Page, like Roger Stone. We've not talked to any of them yet, but they have been mentioned in the press as having contacts with Russians. We need to figure out whether those contacts were appropriate or not, but we haven't talked to them, so there would be no evidence yet because we haven't had those kind of conversations.
What about what you know about this attorney, Natalia Veselnitskaya? How she came into the country, who she's tied to? Have you gone down that road?
You know, Brett, I don't have full information. I have, what's black and white in the email chain involving her, involving the British intermediary and Donald Trump Jr. And what I have is what's been reported in the press, that this is a lawyer that has been a big advocate of changing certain policies in favor of the Russian government. Right. But we don't have a full background on her.
She's tied to this group Fusion GPS, which is also tied to that dossier, which got so much coverage. Have you verified anything in the dossier?
What I have seen is that there have been indications that the individual that put together the dossier, Christopher Steele, had been a British agent of, I believe, MI5, and that I've seen reports that the American government viewed that agent as credible. I do not believe, and this is, I think, what probably the FBI and Special Prosecutor Mueller are investigating are seeing whether those accusations that were the sources of that dossier pan out to be true or not.
Right, but you can't verify independently.
I cannot verify at this point. Listen, I would love at some point to be able to talk to Christopher Steele, who was a long-term agent of the British government and had been viewed by the American government as at least credible.
So do you know how much the FBI paid for the dossier?
Well, all I know is what's been reported in the press was that the initial reports were that that Mr. Steele was hired by actually a Republican operative who was trying to then discredit Mr. Trump during the Republican primary process.
Do you know, or do you stand behind Congressman Schiff, who read a lot of this dossier that was really unconfirmed into the congressional record?
Listen, what I would say is I don't know the veracity of the dossier or not. I know that it was done by a long-term agent of the British government, one of our allies, and I know that this agent was viewed as at least credible by the American government.
Understanding
the truth or non-truth of the claims made in the dossier, and there have been some claims that were quite salacious. There were other claims that indicated that they felt that the Russian government had, some ability to influence Mr. Trump. Understanding
that the special counsel has a job to do, you all have a job to do with the investigation. What do you say to people at home who say, man, this is a lot, and I don't care about this. I care about my job and my health care and what is going to be on my table. Even people in Virginia who wonder about that.
Well, what I'd say, Brett, is what we know, and we know this not because I say it, but because the unanimous opinion of the intelligence community was that the Russian government, in an effort to try to sow discord in our political process, hacked into both political parties, decided they would release information that would be helpful to Mr. Trump, hurtful to Hillary Clinton. In addition to that, they tried to at least hack into, and while they didn't change any vote totals, at least prodded into 21 different states' electoral systems. They did those activities in America. They did similar activities in France, where actually Facebook took down 30,000 fake news sites that were propagating fake news, and that chances are the Russians are going to also intervene in the German elections. And if you take what they did in the American elections, the French elections, what they will do in the German elections, their effort is to sow discord. I'm not here to relitigate what happened in 2016. I'm here to make sure that our electoral process are safe going forward. And I think anyone, whether you're a supporter of Mr. Trump or whether you're a supporter of the Democrats, ought to find out what happened. And what bothers me, Brett, is if you add up what the Russians spent in American elections, French elections, what they'll spend in the German elections, double it, it's probably less than 5% of the cost of a new aircraft carrier. And I feel that we're looking at 21st century cyber warfare, and we have to be better protected.
Well, Senator, we appreciate your time. You're welcome back anytime.
Thank you so much, Brett.